Today, we're going to talk about just the craziness that is happening in the November market. We are seeing things we haven't seen in 20 years. We're seeing some of the worst conditions we have seen. And the crazy thing is, we did not expect this. We're also seeing the sales volume start to really decrease. Now, people have been wondering what's going to happen with buyer behavior and seller behavior, and how is this going to hit the market? We're seeing a number of things happening. Our economy is just tanking. We have a mayor who's increasing prices and taxes like crazy. We also have Toronto unemployment sitting at almost 9%. We have buyers who are sitting on the sideline. We have sellers who are scared. We have sellers who need to actually unload their houses because they're coming up to those mortgage renewals where they are going to see a significant increase in the amount of price they're paying each month for their mortgage. So we're seeing so much change with buyer behavior and seller behavior right now. Now we know what every single person's thinking. No, you'd have to talk to almost every seller to see exactly what they're thinking. But I can tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that sellers are want to try to get the best price that they possibly can get, but buyers know that they can actually get a lower price. And I'm going to show you exactly how that is working out. Okay, let's take a look at this chart here. This chart shows us that detached houses in the 416 are down about 11% in terms of sales. We're also seeing them down in the 905 area code. That's the actual volume. November of this year is actually one of the worst Novembers on record for sales volume. I'm going to show you that more specifically. If you look, however, at condos, you can see a massive decrease. This decrease in condos continues to happen where the sales keep coming down. But what's really interesting about the condos is that if you look at the bottom here, condo price is only down about 1.7%. So of all the categories, now the condo prices are not bottoming out as much as other prices are bottoming out. So what you see here also is that detached houses are down about 9% in terms of average price in the Toronto area. You also see them down in the 905 area too for a total volume or a total price decrease of about 8%. So that is just, nobody expected that to come down quite to that level. Take a look at this chart here. What you can see is the overall sales volume over the past 5 years. So of course we saw that massive peak back in 2021 and then it comes down, and then you're seeing every year it comes down, but look at the trend. Overall, the sales volume continues to decline. Interestingly enough, you're seeing the lease volume actually go up. Now, why is this significant? Lease volume is going up because what we're seeing is people are not buying, they're sitting on the sidelines, they're starting to lease. Maybe people are giving up on ever buying a home, so they want to lease more. And sellers are kind of giving up and they're putting their house back on the market. If you actually take a look, what you're going to see is that a lot of condos are listed both for lease and for sale. They're just waiting to see whatever happens first, and that's how they're taking their money to stay afloat. Okay, this chart I found really interesting. Now, I know this has got a lot of numbers on it, but just bear with me for a second here. What I wanted to show you is how many people are paying above the list price and how many people are paying below the list price on a house. So the dark blue line is people who are paying above the list price, and the lighter blue is actually paying below the list price, where gray is you're paying the actual listed price on a house. The yellow line is actually showing you how that's changed over time. So what we can see is back in 2021 that you had a whole ton of people paying way overpriced, right? Then you kind of come over here towards 2025, and what you're seeing is 80% of the time houses are being sold below their list price. This is a massive change. So what you can expect as a buyer is that you should be able to pay less than the list price. Now, as a seller, this means as sellers, we're always overlisting our houses right now. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, why don't we just put it on the market? We'll see what happens. I have nothing to lose. Well, that's not always the case. You do have something to lose, which is if your house sits on the market for a long time overpriced, then people are going to stop looking at it. I've seen this in particular in commercial, a bunch of businesses I have for sale where, people want to get more money than it's worth. I have, one right now where they're asking for quite a bit more money. It's actually, you won't see it on MLS right now because we're still discussing it, but they really want to list over. And it doesn't always help you because, a smart agent is going to know this data. And also, I think people just intuitively know that they can get a better deal on a house. Same data for 416, and you can see that it's even worse. Okay, this is your average sales price over time. I thought this was really interesting for a couple of reasons. One, because of the seasonality of the prices, and I wanted to show you that. And also, I wanted to show you where we are for 2025 on average. So, yellow line is 2025, right? You can see that the prices are coming down in general and that they're also lower than they have been for about most of the past 5 years. Take a look at this chart here, the black. You can see that our highest prices for Toronto were in November of 2021. And then you can see the price starts to drop, comes back up a little bit, and then now we're back down around our 2022 price. So on average, we're around 1,057,000 right now. And if you take this over to December, both buyers and sellers to be aware of this. If you sell your home in December, you're probably going to get a little bit much less money for it. However, if you buy a home in December, you're probably going to get a better deal on it. So that is also important to keep in mind. So there's just so much going on right now with this market. It's very complex. We're seeing, the prices are coming down, in some ways it's just to be expected, but we were, really surprised at what happened with the prices and the houses or the detached houses for this month in particular. We have these massive mortgage renewals coming up. We have people kind of really being worried about it. So what can you really think right now? Well, I think it's a really good time to really strategically start planning what you want to do. I'm meeting with people right now where we're thinking about next summer. We're thinking about whether they should be changing the size of their home, whether they're downsizing, where they're going to move. Nobody knows for sure what exactly going to happen to the market by next summer and what their price is going to look like, but we can get things into place and start coming up with a plan. I think we have to keep in mind that there's so much complexity to this market, and there's things that are happening that we just recently saw from Stats Canada, and I'm going to do another video on this, that we actually have way more people living in Ontario than we thought we had. They're not even counted into the data. So things are probably way worse than they are. I think we're inflated. We're inflated by the number of government jobs that have been showing that things are doing better than they are. We're seeing this massive unemployment in Toronto. I bet you there's a ton of people who are not even in that statistic. We have way more people living here than we realized accessing resources. We've got people, just feeling generally nervous about the market in general. So I think to keep our heads together, we need to kind of look at this data and kind of say to ourselves, okay, what do we think is going to happen? Now, if you look realistically at the trends, it looks like the market is going to probably continue to go down a little bit more, I would say, over the next couple of months. Now, it always goes down in January for sure. The question is, how much more is it going to go down? And then the other big question is, what's going to happen with our spring market? We have tons of pent-up seller demand. We have tons of pent-up buyer demand. Are the people just going to decide, it's just time, we just have to put these houses on the market? Now, if both buyers and sellers come back together, it'll create kind of a beautiful, a perfect storm of a great storm, really, where everybody's kind of buying and selling and things start to come back. But we really don't think that that's going to happen. Unfortunately, this year, it feels like people are kind of sitting on the sidelines. And then the other big thing we just found out is there's just so many people, leaving Toronto. We have, we're working ourselves into a situation where we're kind of a rich and poor city. Taxing as much as we possibly can to get as much money out of people as we can, just putting so much pressure on anybody that we're starting to see people say, well, you know what? I'm going to go live somewhere else where I can actually get a nice house. I can live without this pressure, feeling that the groceries are too high and everything's too expensive. They're just going to leave. So I think we need to also consider, how much impact is that going to have? So there you have it. Overall, very complex market, November 2025. Probably more worth listening to this video than some of the other market updates where we just say, yeah, the prices went up another month. There you go. My name is Marcy. Listen, thank you so much if you're watching this video. I really appreciate it. We put a lot of time into working on these videos, and it's just so great to see people writing and saying that they're worthwhile and they enjoy listening to them. Thank you so much.